Hi everyone, this is Amanda Kristen speaking. I'm sorry, my camera isn't working right now for the Zoom application today, but my name is Amanda Kristen and I manage the Complete Streets Advisory Committee. And welcome to all of you out there. And if you can, please activate and turn on your cameras because we will be going around the room, as it were, to give introductions. So you can say who you are and where you work, and this way we can, you know, make this a little more personal. So I apologize profusely for being a black screen right now, but I'm going to turn it over to Ricardo, and he is going to call on those to do the introductions.
Hear me? I've been having issues the entire morning, so hopefully you guys can hear me well.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you. Again, Ricardo Gutierrez with the Broward MPO. I'm just going to go over the list of attendees. So when I say your name, please restate your name and the agency that you represent. So I apologize ahead of time for any not reading names correctly. So let's start right away. Brent Johnson.
Yes, Brent Johnson, City of Oakland Park.
We have Carol Henderson.
Hi.
Hi,
With
Carol.
the MPO.
Hi, Carol. Sean Wong.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. Chan Wong from FDOT District 4.
Welcome, Sean. Michael Marshall. Michael?
Yes, hi, yeah, I'm here. This is Michael. My name is Michael Marshall, and I work with the Gunster Law Firm.
Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Andrew Disbury.
Hi, Ricardo, with the City of North Lauderdale.
Andrew, thank you. Levi Stewart Figueroa.
Hey everyone, Levi Stewart Figueroa, Broward MPO.
Okay, this is going a little. Okay, Diego Munoz. Diego, are you there? All right, we'll come around to Diego one more time later. Deshaun Grant.
Yeah, Deshaun here, City of Miramar.
Welcome, Deshaun. Aaron Emmons.
Hi, this is Erin from Kimley Horn on behalf of DOT District 4.
Karen Gonzalez.
Good afternoon. This is Karen Gonzalez, also with Kimley Horn.
Roger Lalane.
Roger Lalane, Broward County Engineering.
Lavelle Jedret, apologize again. Lavelle, are you there? Lavelle? We'll come back to Lavelle. I think he's having some issues as well. Michael Rigetti. Michael Rigetti. Okay, Michael Rigetti. Let me see, let me check the chat. Okay, we just got a, Lavelle has no mic at the moment, but we'll take note of that, Lavelle. We bet Hay.
Hi, I'm Wibet Hay from FDOT District 4.
Thank you. Alex Estrada.
Alexander Estrada, FDOT Design Office.
Colin Donnelly.
Yeah. Excuse me. Colin Donnelly, City of Dania Beach.
Welcome. And then we have Hannah Bourgeois.
Hi, Hannah Bourgeois with the Broward MPO.
Karen Werfel.
Hi, Karen Warfel with the City of Fort Lauderdale.
Carrie McNeil,
Karen McNeil with the Broward MPO.
Kyra Everett,
Hi everyone, I'm Kyra Everett from the Broward MPO.
Larry Wallace,
Good afternoon, everyone. Larry Wallace, FDOT District 4.
Lenny Human. Lenny, you there? I think Lenny's having issues with his microphone. Okay, let's keep going. Marcus Richard. Marcus.
Broward MPO.
Added Marcus. Mark Brown.
Good afternoon, Mark Brown, Broward MPO.
Former Commissioner Mickey Belvedere. Commissioner, are you there?
I am here, Commissioner Coconut Creek.
Welcome, Commissioner. Michael, no, I already have it. Nancy Geddes. Nancy Geddes. Nancy, you there? I can see you, but we'll keep going. Priscilla Seidlnick. Priscilla, I apologize for the mispronouncing your last name.
No worries. Priscilla's here.
Thank you. Salman Monoir.
Salman Monoir from City of Miramar.
Thank you. We have Savika Junor.
Yep, you got it. It's Savika Junor with the Office of Economic and Small Business Development.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Tina Joe.
Good afternoon. This is Tina. I'm with the City of Deerfield Beach.
Thank you. Welcome. Have I missed anybody who I haven't called? Maybe
Brad Swain, City of Sunrise.
Bradley, welcome.
Celeste Dunmore, City of Lauderdale Lakes.
Celeste, apologize. I did see your name here. I apologize. Celeste is here. Anybody else?
Hi, Ricardo. It's Maureen Balmaceda with HDR Engineering.
Maureen, thank you.
Darcy Mayer, Broward MPO.
Darcy. God, I missed a lot of people. I apologize. Okay, Darcy, we got you.
Stuart Robertson, Kimley Horn.
I'm not doing. Stuart, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks, Ricardo.
I think that's about it, Amanda. Thank you.
Swag from former Commissioner Deerfield Beach, Cookley Board, Century Village.
Commissioner, welcome.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Ricardo. We have a pretty packed agenda today, and we typically have an interactive portion after each presentation, and today's presentation is no different than that. We will be doing Mentimeter questions. If you could, as you're looking at your screen, go to www.menti.com and use the code 4161871, and that will allow you to log into today's meeting and interact with the 8 questions that we will have intermittently throughout today's meeting. Again, www.menti.com. The code is 4161871. We're going to go right into the current MPO efforts, and Ms. Stephanie Garcia is going to be talking about 2 things for us today. Stephanie?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So I apologize because there is a renovation in the courtyard of the building, so maybe you might hear some sort of noise, so I apologize in advance. Hopefully it doesn't happen anything. But yeah, let's start. So on July 2020, the Broward MPO was invited to by the AFHWA Safe Transportation for Every Pedestrian program, most known as STEP, STEP, to present the mobility program together with FDOT District 4 to share best practices nationwide. In this opportunity, the Broward MPO presented the Computer Streets Initiative history and background, planning efforts such as the Computer Streets Master Plan, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Action Plan, the Mobility Implementation Program Ready Process, the Community Engagement and Educational Program, as well as the upcoming projects for the region, such as the Tactical Urbanism Program that you will hear a little bit about in the future in upcoming CSAC meetings, and of course the continuation of the walking audits. The FDOT involvement was essential to showcase the different computer street projects designed and constructed in the region through the incorporation of STEP elements. I haven't, Amanda, can you go back to exactly, thank you. So FDOT was essential, right? Because part of the presentation was about the computer street projects designed and constructed in the region through the incorporation of STEP elements. Some of the STEP elements are known by you already. Some are the raised crosswalks. I know the city of Deerfield Beach has many raised crosswalks up there. Crosswalk visibility enhancements, pedestrian refugee islands, pedestrian hybrid beacon, and the most known road diet. But some of us know it as a lane elimination. So this was an opportunity for FDOT to actually introduce the Lane Repurposing Guidebook 2020. In general, the webinar on July 29 in 2020, a few months ago, let's say, it was a big opportunity for Broward region because it was a national platform and it was offered by AFHWA and co-hosted by the Pedestrian and Bicycle Information Center. So if you're interested about, taking a look at the video recorded by AFHWA, you can access the link provided in the slide, or you can go to the AFHWA website, a STEP program, and you can access all the case studies that they share. And of course, you can reach out to me. If you go to the next slide. Next slide. Thank you.
Next slide. Did you get it?
Yeah, this is the one. Thank you, Amanda. So another recognition for Broward region. This time is thanks to the collaboration with our different partners. I know some of you are participating in the CSAC right now, and you know about this, the Walking Audits program. It was established in 2018. We know that we have some walking audits back in 2014 and 2015, but actually the program was established in 2018. The AFHWA Transportation Safety Planning and Zero Deaths Division selected the Broward MPO Walking Audits program as a Vision Zero success story, thanks to the collaboration with the municipalities, FDOT District 4, and of course, the participation of AARP volunteers. This was crucial because we needed feedback from a diverse group of participants. To get the community involved and evaluate the corridors and collect feedback, we needed the collaboration of all these different partners. The idea was to evaluate the different selected projects, high-ranked projects of the Computer Streets Master Plan, and we did it, and the idea is to continue with this program. So this is a thank you to all and a recognition for all of us by the AFHWA. If you want to find more information about this notable practice, you can reach out to us, and you can even go to the Better Streets, Better Broward website, and you can access walking audits, and then you can click on resources. And if you want to share this great news for all of us, you can also share through LinkedIn or through your social media, because this is not only a recognition for the Broward MPO, but to all our partners, including the municipalities that co-hosted with us these walking audits. So thank you. And of course, we will reach out to you again in 2021 because this program will continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Does anybody have any questions for Stephanie before we move on to our first presenter? If you do, please raise your virtual hand to be acknowledged and unmuted. And you can see the screenshot there. If you have a question, I'll wait about 30 seconds to see if I see anybody that raises their hand. If not, we will continue to our first official presentation of today. Okay, it doesn't look like anybody has any questions right now, so I am going to advance the slide to our first presentation of the day, which is the FDOT District 4 Multimodal Scoping Checklist. And our presenters today are Aaron Emmons from Kimley Horn and Wibette Hay from FDOT. Aaron and Wibette, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you may share your screen and start your presentation from your office.
Okay, thank you. Wibette, do you want to start off?
Hi, everybody. My name is Wibette Hay with District 4. The person who just spoke is Erin, and you probably received the multiple emails from her about the multimodal checklist and the process. We've been doing some training on the new process lately. That's the lady you want to talk to. Stuart Robertson is also part of her team. Karen, which is also on the line, and Tuha from Via Planning. So, what is the multimodal checklist? So the multimodal checklist started about a little over 10 years in the Office of Modal Development. It's an opportunity to give local agencies, the school board, transit, and any other municipality an opportunity to provide feedback in the multimodal, the design process earlier on in the stage. So what does that mean? So before we actually have the design complete the scope, we provide the multimodal checklist to the different agencies and ask for feedback on the different modal aspect within your communities. So once you provide that information, we put it in a little format and send it over to the design PM. But the problem that we were having is that a lot of the issues that we were seeing were not incorporated in the multimodal checklist. So we met with multiple design PM and just kind of asked them, what was the issue they were facing? What could we do better? And we got a lot of different feedback. So we went ahead and we changed the questions and to make it more user-friendly. And also we actually asked as much specific information, we asked for as much specific information as possible. Why is that important? It's important because, for example, if you are asking to provide a sidewalk, if you can provide us with the exact location where the sidewalk is, or where the location you are looking to have the sidewalk is, the more likely it's going to be that the design PM would be able to incorporate it in the system. If you provide, okay, we want, the project is for 3 miles and you want a sidewalk on within that 3 miles, how is the design PM going to understand or know exactly where you want it to be? So we've changed the question in a lot of instances and asked as much specific information as possible. So we actually went from a email format to go to electronic format, which is basically the GIS format. And that allows you to give as much specific information as possible. And Erin is going to go over it later on in this presentation, where she's going to go over how that information can be pulled from the system, specific information from the system. So we meet and we talk to multiple individuals on a daily basis when it comes down to the multimodal checklist. We send over a lot, about about 70 or so, multimodal checklists to the different municipalities. Now we have we send information to all the MPOs, the transit agency, all 5 of them in the state, in the district, the school board, and we also have over 81 municipalities within our region. Now, the multimodal checklist is also sent to the OMD staff, which we go over rail for any issues that might arise. We talk to the transit individual within the office. We also talk to the freight individual in the office just in case, you know, there's any issues that might arise while we're doing this, while the design PM is doing this, the scope, and in case anything arises during the project life cycle itself. We also talk to the complete street individuals just in case they have any suggestions or they know of any issues that is going on that we could actually utilize. Erin's going to go a little bit more in detail in this slide, and she's going to take over from here.
Okay, thanks, Wabette. As Wabette said, we reach out to more than just one agency. For every project that goes through the FDOT process, it goes out to all these stakeholders. So with each project, there's on average 8 to 10 agencies that we reach out to for comments and feedback for every project. So just last year, for comparison, we had 74 projects that went through this multimodal scoping checklist process, and we got responses from over 320 individual agencies. If we were to try to do that with one-on-one meetings, we would still be talking about projects from last year. This year alone, up until August, we've already gone through 50 projects within the same process. And the process changes that Wabette discussed briefly about is some of the ways in which we've been able to get at minimum 18% increase of response just because of some of the changes in the questioning and the ability to get the answers from you all, your local stakeholders, in regards to the information that you already are dealing with and creating each day in your own local agencies. So as Wabette said, at the start of each project, we put together a list of a representative that we already have made contact with through this process associated with the location of that project. So if a project spans across 2 jurisdictions, we contact each of those representatives from the 2 jurisdictions in addition to the 6 other agencies associated with this multimodal scoping checklist. As Wabette also said, some of you might already be part of this process and have seen emails come from me or Lisa Wan or from others in regards to soliciting information to fill out the Word document that is essentially the first start of the changes to the questions. Everything that is sent back is read and categorized into 3 categories associated with information, action items, and requests. And these highlight page and this summary document is gone straight to the design PM. Because like Wabette said, what's awesome about this process is the fact that you're getting your input in at a local level to the design PM before it gets scoped. So you're part of that process from the very beginning. And it does not replace the touches that you'll have throughout the project in incorporation and collaboration with the district as the project gets through design. The major change that's happened at this time with the multimodal scoping checklist, and honestly, as a way to get more response and be more connected to you as local stakeholders, is we've turned this process, instead of a Word document with a PDF map series being emailed, it's now all online. And this resource is also available to general public for information as well. So it's a way for you not only to see the same information the design PM would be reviewing at the time of scoping, but also for the local agencies to identify potential gaps in data that they could provide to DOT so that they can make more informed decisions based on the information you're managing right at your own agency. Nothing's changed in regards to how we summarize. All the information submitted in its original form will be passed on as support documentation to the design PM, but it will still be summarized into those 3 categories of information, actions, and requests. And those requests are the key to making sure that your initiatives and complete streets priorities are incorporated into the scoping process. Now, Wabette also pointed out that there may not be an opportunity for every request to be incorporated into every project that comes across your desk, but that's okay. What's important is that you provide that feedback, because we're also tracking how those projects and requests have been incorporated, and if they're able to. And if they're not, we're able to track some consistent patterns or identify potential needs that may turn into its own projects all along. So responding to these is critical to keep the collaboration and the communication between agency and the district seamless. So I touched on a few of the reasons why this process has changed. For one, all these stakeholders, being able to have more than one representative respond to these project responses and feedback, such as engineering department, planning department, maybe even grants. Being able to have more than one to respond from the agency is a lot more available with an online process. The interactive map, hands down, way better than PDF. Now you can zoom in, change the base map from a street view to an aerial view, and really see what your design PM that's representing this project is going to see as well. And it also gives you an opportunity as a local agency to upload your own data and do your own analysis. The online process also speeds up the preparation time as well as the review time on the back end, because now it's become a more fluent process, and we're able to get you back answers if you have any regarding that project a lot quicker. And it makes tracking, again, those projects or requests that you've submitted a lot easier if they're not able to be implemented, but also more important if they are. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over and show you an example of that, of the actual process. So this site is public facing. And so the interactive D4 modal viewer is something you can access right now after the presentation, please. But what it gives you is all of the design or FDOT's work programs right here on the map, and the boundaries within District 4. You can zoom in to the area of interest. You can search by address or FM number, meaning the project ID number. And you can also pull up really great information such as incident reviews. You can create your own analysis using the incident records or crash data within a specific area by radius. But you can also, on this second tab, be able to pull up all of these resources associated with the type of analysis that we'd be and feedback we'd be asking in the multimodal scoping checklist. Everything from sidewalk improvements or gaps to transit connectivity, and making sure that there's adequate connections between transit and points of destination. And there's no one that's going to know that information better than the local stakeholders. So the types of information and questions that we're asking is really just regurgitating or summarizing the information that you already have readily available. Other resources that are available in addition to the layer list is the ability to change the base map, again, from street view to an aerial view. That makes it evaluating a project location easier to understand when you can pull on the base map and zoom in at a sidewalk level. The other part that is important is the ability for you as a local agency to be able to upload your own information to allow you to answer the questions a lot more quickly. In most cases, our past format required the local agencies or stakeholders to have a separate map of their own locally opened or reference their own base maps. Now you have the ability to upload that. Now that information is only saved locally, so it's not shared with the world. Only you would have access to it, but it gives you in multiple formats to be able to do that. You also have the ability, as Wabette had pointed out, the more detail you can provide, the better it is for the design PM to be able to, one, follow up with you, but also understand a clear objective that you're trying to communicate. So by using the measuring tool and specifying exactly the distance of that improvement or sidewalk gap or connection that you're trying to achieve between a transit agency or point of destination is key in regards to getting the information incorporated into the actual design. Other features available, as I said, this is public facing. If there's information that you want to even share with your commissioners or be able to share with other local agencies that you're interested in, you have a print function, and it allows you to print whether the zoom is real close into a project specific, or you can zoom out at a county level map and print that for a PDF version for your own records. The process in which Wabette had talked about that's changed from a Word document to an electronic is accessed here, and each agency has a separate set of questions that they are asked to fill out from the aviation department, school board, transit, freight, local agencies and government, and most of you have already been through our training already, so thank you, as well as MPO and rail. Like I said, each agency, you guys have specific information and maintain certain assets that are important to the overall community and the success of any project being designed. So each of those questions are designed specifically for you. For more information about the multimodal scoping checklist process, or even about the overall website itself, on that same info tab on the top right of your screen when you access the site, there's a user manual as well as a layers list, which will provide more detail as to what layers are included and what information you can find out about in regards to which agency to follow up with. And that's essentially the modal viewer and the process in which we've changed with the multimodal scoping checklist for FDOT.
Does anyone have any questions? Guess not.
Okay.
No, with that, I do have a question. This is Ricardo with the Broward MPO. You know, you talked about the list of contacts that you have. How do you keep that up? How do you maintain that list to make sure it's current?
Erin, I'll let you take that answer.
Yeah, as needed. We do our best, as we have over 100 agencies within District 4, and in most cases, it's the same contacts that have been replaced. If we get a bounce back email, then we know we probably need to investigate who has changed. But in most cases, the local agencies have been really great about following up with us, telling us who's taking over that lead or who's changing or needs to be copied in addition. And so we have a process internally that we update those records as we're informed, and also every quarter, we do go into the agencies where we haven't had projects performed in those areas in a while, or maybe we haven't had a response rate that we would find acceptable, like we haven't heard from them, and we would go and contact them directly to get a more up-to-date contact list.
One quick question here. Roger, Amanda. Ricardo, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. You call me.
Thank you, Ricardo. The question is the preliminary construction cost estimate is included into this multimodal scope checklist?
The what estimate? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The construction cost estimate, is it included?
No, this is not at the point of construction. This is a part of design, before design actually starts.
Okay. At what point in the process do you start, sending this multimodal, to agencies? Is it at the point? Yeah.
So the multimodal checklist is usually within it's in the work program, in the 5-year work program, and as soon as the design PM actually receive the project, within 40 days of the project being assigned to the design PM, at that point in time, we actually send out the multimodal checklist. That's way before that they actually start the design scope. So that's why we are trying to get this process up and running a little bit better, so everybody can provide as much detail as possible, because it gives you a great opportunity for you to get as much information into the scope as possible, because it's really earlier in the stage.
So very good. So if I understand that correctly, it's before the job is advertised for design. So
Correct.
That you can include some features. So when you advertise it, then you can have a better scope to advertise in the event that we all agreed with it, correct?
Correct. Now, take into consideration that everything that you're going to ask for will be able to be included, because based on cost constraint, and many other different features. Features. But we try to incorporate as much information as possible, because this is the stage that you need to ask for the kitchen sink, actually, because when you get to 30 or 60% plants, it's kind of late for them to actually try to incorporate that information into the scope.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Wiwit.
No problem.
I do have a follow-up question. I'm sorry. But you mentioned that, you get multiple feedback from your local government. How do you consolidate all those comments? Let's say one says, I need a sidewalk, and says, get rid of that sidewalk. How do you do that? Because I think I always thought there was one point of contact per municipality, and that point of contact will gather all the comments to submit, but it doesn't seem like that's the case.
Go ahead, Stuart.
Yeah.
We're going to answer.
Oh, well, in regards to, Ricardo, you're absolutely right. In most cases, we do have one point of contact from the agencies, but in other cases, and they'll consolidate all of their comments, and there's not conflicting, and they'll work those differences out there. In regards to some agencies not, having that opportunity to collaborate, or maybe they're submitting separately, unaware that the other representative from maybe engineering or public works is also submitting, we sometimes do get conflicting answers. And we pick our favorite. No, I'm just kidding. What we do is that's why this part of finding a faster processing allows for us to follow up specifically with those agencies and make sure we understand their vision. In some cases, it's just a misunderstanding of, some said, I want to remove this turn lane, and they were referring to a different part of the corridor, or, the differences between the type of bike lanes they need, or access, wider shared use path versus just a sidewalk. So for those differences, we definitely follow up with the municipality to make sure we have a clear understanding from that agency what their desire is for the community.
Thank you, Erin. That's a great response. Great presentation, by the way, both Wibet and thank you.
Thank you
so much. This is Amanda, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that Stephanie Garcia can administer the 2 Mentimeter questions we've got.
Can everyone see the Mentimeter question?
Yes.
Perfect. So have you heard of the multimodal scoping checklist process before this presentation?
All right. It's a trick question. Hopefully all you guys just heard about it.
I know, yeah.
We have 24 people that already participated in the survey, and we have most of the people already said that yes, they have heard about this before. So that's great news. And we have 6 people that found out just today.
Spreading the word.
Yes. 7, okay. So 8 lucky ones. Okay, so Amanda, you let me know if we can pass to the second question about this presentation.
Sure, I think now's the time. Thank you.
Perfect. Then we have, are you or have you been involved in this process before? Well, that's a good number. We have almost 12 people that already knew about the process, and they've been working with DOT and Kimley Horn, providing feedback about their projects.
I have one comment in the chat. This is Amanda that I'd like to read out loud, and if there was any opportunity for discussion, let me know. But one of the things that has been said in this chat is I've been very disappointed with the MMSC process. I've approached FDOT on multiple initiatives to have them consider wide sidewalk shared use in lieu of bike lanes. Their response is, if we want this, we have to pony up the funds.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but in a lot of cases, we don't have the additional funds to be able to do that. So if we're already doing a sidewalk in that area and we have the right of way, we're not going to tell you we can't widen the sidewalk. But if we have no right of way and we're going to have to purchase right of way, that's additional cost and time in the schedule that we didn't anticipate. So in some cases, there's things that we will not be able to do, in some cases that we will. Unfortunately, that's just the way things are. I mean, we try to incorporate everything that we get, or as much as we get from the local agencies as in the process, but this just sometimes we just won't be able to.
There was a brief comment that said this has been on RRR projects.
Triple R projects.
Yep.
Okay. So the question I need to ask is, if it's on a Triple R project, usually there's a lot more we can do on a Triple R project. But if you're asking for a sidewalk, do we have the right of way to do the sidewalk, or do we have to purchase a right of way, do a right of way take? Because they're not going to do a right of way take for a sidewalk. Unfortunately, we already have to have had it in our right of way system for us to be able to do that. And sometimes we actually try to negotiate with different individuals and get lease. And sometimes it's just not able, we're just not able to.
Okay,
there's a lot of moving parts to this process that, you know, some things we can do and some things we just can't.
One more statement says Powerline Road currently has right-of-way available.
Okay, I have no idea where in Powerline Road they're referring to. If you can provide me the details, maybe I could take a look into it. And the FM number that you're referring to, maybe I could take a look into it. But at this point in time, I cannot answer the question without actually having enough information.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Wibette and Aaron. We are going to pause for just a second. I'm going to take back the screen. And Stuart, Stuart Robertson, you're going to be, you are here representing the City of Hollywood. If you could briefly introduce yourself, and I know that I will give you the power to run your own particular PowerPoint presentation, but many of you who have been with the Complete Streets Advisory Committee for years are very familiar with Mr. Robertson. He and his consulting firm, Kinley Horn, he was the administrator, and he ran CSAC. So he mentioned to me that he was happy to be back and to present to y'all this afternoon. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Stuart, and you may start sharing your presentation.
All right, thank you very much, Amanda. I'm going to share my screen. As Amanda mentioned, my name is Stuart Robertson with Kimley Horn and Associates. And on behalf of Mark Johnson, the City of Hollywood's project manager, as well as Azita Bamardi, the City of Hollywood city engineer, I am here to present the update to the Hollywood Bicycle Mobility Plan. This is a project that has recently begun. We are toward the initial stages of the project and are looking forward to giving presentations throughout the community to have people learn about the project, and also you can discover ways that you can participate in the project as well. The goal of the Hollywood Bicycle Mobility Plan is to prepare a plan with stakeholder input that identifies and prioritizes specific bicycle mobility projects, that advances Complete Streets principles and makes most of the funding opportunities available for the city of Hollywood. Some of you may be familiar with the Hollywood Broadwalk. The picture on the right is a picture of bicyclists enjoying the Hollywood Broadwalk, which is a separated facility right on the ocean that also provides a lot of access to nice restaurants and shops and a really wonderful beach environment along the Hollywood Broadwalk. So that's one of the more popular places to ride a bicycle today in Hollywood. We're certainly, as part of this plan, wanting to expand the opportunities that residents and visitors alike have for bicycle riding in Hollywood. Our project got underway in July. We are currently conducting the community engagement and coordination meetings phase, such as this meeting that we're having today. We also conducted a round of city commissioner briefings in the month of August and have completed our existing conditions inventory and currently are working on the initial data analysis. Now, between September and December, we're going to be working on developing our recommended project list, as well as gaining input from the public about what projects are needed to go into the plan in order to be able to have places to safely ride a bicycle and to be able to connect origins and destinations on a bicycle. We also will be developing cost estimates and recommending funding sources later on in the plan, conducting project prioritization, and then developing a final report with the goal of having the plan adopted by City Commission in March of 2021. The base map for the project is currently under development, but we wanted to show where we are to the CSAC committee today. We're developing a map that shows things like the existing conventional bicycle lanes, for example, the red line along Hollywood Boulevard, east of Young Circle. There's an existing bike lane there. Also existing buffered bicycle lanes, which are the thicker green lines. Buffered bicycle lanes have been built, for example, by FDOT along US 441. And many of you may be familiar with the Hollywood Boulevard Complete Streets Demonstration Project, which was a wonderful collaboration between the Broward MPO, the City of Hollywood, other implementation partners. The green line shown near downtown includes the buffered bicycle lanes implemented as part of that. We're also coordinating closely and including the Broward MPO's Complete Streets Master Plan in our bicycle mobility plan. The purple shaded areas on this map represent the Complete Streets bundle areas as identified in the MPO's Complete Streets Master Plan. So these are areas where we may be able to identify priority projects consistent with the Complete Streets Master Plan and supplement the Complete Streets Master Plan with a network of bicycle routes on local streets, as well as the MPO's network of Complete Streets Master Plan projects. So next I want to go through the 5 facility types that we are planning for in the Hollywood Bicycle Mobility Plan. First up, we have a multi-purpose path, which is a separated non-motorized transportation space, typically used by pedestrians and bicyclists, but other forms of non-motorized users can use this facility as well, such as inline skaters. It is separated from the roadway by some type of open space, physical barrier, often has landscaping that separates the multi-purpose path from the roadway. Sometimes multi-purpose paths are called shared use paths as well. You see that terminology utilized in some places. Secondly, we have the separated bicycle lane. This differs from the multi-purpose path in that the separated bicycle lane is typically on a street or roadway. However, it's separated from car traffic by some type of vertical element. It could be a concrete curb, such as the photograph that you see on this slide, or it could be a channelizing device, such as a flexible traffic post. Oftentimes you hear the term protected bike lanes used, and those two terms in general are interchangeable. So if you hear someone say protected bike lanes, it's really also talking about what we're calling a separated bicycle lane in this project. The next facility type is called buffered bicycle lane. And this is a bike lane that is separated from the car lane by a flush buffer space that includes roadway striping, or in some cases, it may include some pavement markings as well. Buffered bicycle lanes are the current standard with both FDOT and with Broward County for implementing bicycle lanes. The next facility type is called conventional bicycle lanes. And this is a bicycle lane with a single striped line that separates the car lane from the bicycle lane. So this is conventional in the sense that buffered and separated that we just saw are higher level forms of a bicycle lane. And then finally, we have neighborhood greenways. So one of the things we're trying to do with this plan is identify a low stress network of neighborhood streets that can be used as bicycle routes and that are comfortable to a wide range of people that would consider bicycling on them because of their low traffic volumes and low speeds. Neighborhood greenways need to be supplemented or supported by street design elements, such as safe crossing improvements where neighborhood greenways cross collector or arterial roadways. These could include raised intersections, full signalization, traffic circles, or some type of safe crossing device for bicyclists using neighborhood greenways to cross more major roadways. And the purpose of that is that we want to link origins with destinations in a safe and efficient way so that people can feel like they can get from point A to point B on a bicycle. Next up, we're going to talk about community engagement and the ways that we are engaging the public on the project. And in fact, there are many ways to participate already in the project. The presentation slide here includes 3 links. So when these slides are published, these links will be hyperlinks. You can just click on them and it will take you straight to ways to participate. One is a fact sheet that has the project pertinent information, basically a summary of this presentation on the fact sheet. In addition, it has a QR code and a hyperlink that will take you to the project story map and to the interactive map. I'm going to ask Erin Emmons, my colleague who's working on this project, to give us a preview of the project story map as well as the interactive map. So I'm going to stop sharing and allow Erin to call up the project's story map where you can go and learn about the project online as well as provide specific input on the interactive map that we have developed. Erin?
So as Stuart pointed out, there's different ways in which the community has been able to be engaged in this. In this new COVID environment, you know, an in-person workshop, it was not feasible. So we've provided the same information that was presented on the fact sheet in a story map format, which is an online platform that allows you to essentially read about the multimodal scoping checklist in a sort of a story format outline. Gives you the same information about the project overview, and as you scroll through, it also provides you those project activities that are happening that Stuart referenced to in regards to the schedule. It goes over the same information in regards to different facility types that we're going to be asking from the community to give feedback on. And more important, the most exciting part is the interactive map that allows the community to, in real time, provide feedback right from their living room or from their favorite restaurant. So from the site, from the interactive story map, you can click on that link, and this is a web-based application. There's no special app store you have to go to download it. You can access it from anywhere, all the way from China if you'd like. So what's awesome about this application is the same functionality that you'd be able to do at a workshop by going, marking up a map, leaving Post-its, connecting directly with your project manager. You have the ability to do that right here on this map. And so just giving a brief overview of what you'll see when you access this site is a little welcome page that gives you a little background about the project. You have your editing functions with full instructions onto how to leave comments. There's 2 different ways. You can leave comments on recommendations, things you want to see in your community. for this project, City of Hollywood. And then they also have the ability to, since we're in the process of updating the existing facilities map, if there's existing facilities that you know of that you feel is missing, you have the ability to add that as well. And the different information we're asking for as part of feedback from the local stakeholders is everything from areas in the city that you feel are restricting, that doesn't allow for free movement of bike ped activity, specifically bicyclists, or maybe it's a corridor that has facilities, but you just don't feel comfortable on it. So this is a way for you to communicate to the project team and to the city on things you want to see within the area. And those neighborhood greenways is a great alternative also for even the localized roads for some of these improvements. You can also see the ability to see other people's comments the same way you would in an in-person meeting. Being able to vote and prioritize would be a next phase of this process after we get all of these comments consolidated. Going through the different elements on this interactive map, we talked about the info tab, we talked about the tool in which you would leave your comments. You also have a legend to understand what comments are left behind by other citizens and representatives. Also, the same options that you had with the multimodal scoping checklist, you have that same capability of turning on and off different layers that may be of interest to you, or if you want to just clean the map and only see those layers that you want to leave your recommendation, as well as the ability to change that base map. Now, after these two presentations, you're going to be a GIS pro. What I'd like to point out also is the ability to also communicate back on that story map. You can directly communicate with the design PM or with the project PM from the City of Hollywood if you have additional questions or feedback that you'd like to provide. Stuart?
Thank you, Erin. I'm going to leave the project website in the chat feature here for our meeting. So in case you want to view the website, which includes the story map and the interactive map, you will be able to do so. I also wanted to point out that we have other forms of ongoing coordination as well, such as working with the city's social media team to push out the story map and interactive map on the city's online platforms, as well as newsletters and neighborhood groups, associations, to make sure that we try to maximize the coverage within the city. And then in summary, I want to make sure that I am sharing my screen. Okay. So in summary, the City of Hollywood is conducting a bike mobility plan, and we are obtaining public engagement in an online fashion and have several different ways of being able to do that, including the online interactive map. We have met virtually with the city's elected officials to provide them with an update, as well as to provide them early opportunities for input. And we now request your help to help promote and publicize our efforts around the county as well for all those who may live, work, or visit the City of Hollywood to participate in the bicycle mobility plan. And this final slide here just shows the contact information for Mark Johnson, our project manager, as well as me. You can reach us through bicyclemobility@hollywoodfl.org. And that wraps up my presentation.
Thanks, Stuart. This is Amanda. We're going to hop over to Mentimeter right now before we take questions for Stuart and the Hollywood Bicycle Plan.
Thank you. So after hearing Erin's and Stuart's presentation, we have a question for you. Which facility type would you prefer to ride a bicycle in Hollywood? I do have a preference and I already voted. So what do you think about?
Well, Stephanie, what I'm observing from these results is that separation between car traffic and bicycle traffic seems to be the most important factor in the results that we're seeing so far. Or if separation is not possible, to have those routes be on low speed, low volume roads like neighborhood greenways.
Yes, it seems that separation is really important for everyone here participating. And we have 30 people that already voted, and we have almost 50 participants today in the CSAC meeting. So Stuart, will this feedback help at all with your community outreach efforts?
Yes, absolutely. It provides some local evidence to support what we're also seeing in national research, that separation from car traffic is necessary to attract the broadest percentage of the population to want to bike on road.
Perfect. So let me know, Amanda. Should we move on
Stuart,
to the next one?
No, not just yet. There is a question for Stuart. Would multi-purpose paths also allow motorized micromobility, e-scooters and e-bikes, etc.?
Currently, very low horsepower motorized micromobility would be allowed on the shared use paths. Also, assistive devices such as motorized wheelchairs are also allowed on the multi-purpose paths.
Okay, thank you so much. You can go ahead and advance the slide, Stephanie. Thank you.
Perfect. So we go to the second question. What is your favorite part of the interactive map? The interactive map is the presentation that Erin shared with us, the story map. I think it's great, by the way. Congratulations.
Thanks, Stephanie.
You volunteer to something.
Okay, great. So we have as first, providing place-based comments on the plan. Yeah, I think visually it helps a lot to know exactly where the project is located. And also be able to see other comments from, other people participating in the survey. I think that's great. Existing bicycle facilities, yes. In order to connect new facilities with existing ones, I think that's awesome. Seeing point of interest, yes. Connectivity between existing destinations.
Oh, this crap.
Great answer.
Okay, great. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions for Stuart or for that matter, Erin, before we advance to the next presentation? Okie dokie. I don't see anybody raising their hands. So with that, I'm going to start sharing my screen again.
Thank you so much to the CSAC for this opportunity to present the Hollywood Bike Plan. And maybe we'll come back if we're invited back to present the final once we've got our adopted plan next year.
No?
Thank you. Give me just 1 second to pull up this second to last presentation that we have here. Appreciate your patience. And I am going to introduce Alex Estrada from FDOT and Ricardo Gutierrez from the Broward MPO to start this presentation on the University Drive multimodal improvements. And Alex, if you'd like to start sharing your screen to administer the presentation, you're welcome to do so.
Sure. I think Ricardo is going to start, and then I'm going to come in at the half point.
Give me a second here. Sure. Are you guys able to see my screen? Am I hearing me? Can you guys hear me? Alex?
We can hear you, but we are not seeing your screen.
Give me a second here. About now?
Yep.
Yes, there you go.
Give me 1 second. All right, and before I start, I wanted to thank you, Stuart. It's always nice to have you back. You know, I will be making some comments, even though I live in Pembroke Pines. I definitely go to Hollywood quite a bit, so thank you for that great presentation. Let me just go back here for a second.
Thank you, Ricardo. I appreciate that.
No problem.
You live in the neighboring municipality to the west.
To the west, that's correct.
That's right.
But I definitely go to Hollywood quite a bit. All right, so today we're going to give you a brief presentation on a series of improvements that are taking place along University Drive, and how we're working with our implementation partner, the Florida Department of Transportation, and how we are actually able to incorporate local perspective into some of our projects. You guys able to see my screen now? I don't know what's going on. Amanda, are we okay? Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen, but we are having a really hard time hearing you, Ricardo.
Yeah, what's going on? Again, I apologize. What's going on? All right, can you guys hear me now? Amanda?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Can you get, okay, I guess you can't hear me. How's it? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you fine, Ricardo.
Better, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's just do that. Okay, thank you. So again, we're going to give you a quick presentation about many improvements that are taking place around University Drive, and how we're working with the Florida Department of Transportation as an implementation partner, and how we actually involve our local partners into making the decisions on what actually is being built in this corridor. All right, where does this project come from? They came from University Drive Corridor Study, completed in 2015, and adopted by MPO board in March 2015. The project limits are actually from Miami-Dade, almost to Sawgrass Mills. We did establish a project advisory committee made up or representatives, excuse me, representatives for all the municipalities along this corridor, Broward County, and the Florida Department of Transportation. Of course, the needs were identified where we needed to improve safety, definitely improve mobility, the walkability of the corridor, and also develop some cost-effective solutions. One of the things that we heard from the project advisory committee that's not on this list, they really wanted to have those separations. I think that we're hearing that from everybody now, and it's very much in line from what we hear from the public. Through our many public outreach efforts, we heard that the public, in order for them to consider walking and biking, they really need to see that separation from the vehicular traffic. Implementation of the study right now, we have currently 12 projects programmed in different phases of implementation. We have one completed along in Tamarack from McNabb to 72nd. We have a series of projects in construction, design, and also ones that are coming up for design, which are already programmed in our transportation improvement program. One of the things that we've done at the Broward MPO, being that projects usually funded on the 5th year of the TAP, so 5 years actually from the initially identified, yeah, a lot of things change, basically. You know, at the local level, new priorities, new visions, new commissions have different actual needs. So before, in the 3rd year of the transportation improvement program, we actually have this what we're calling a 3rd year check, where we meet with the local governments to really verify the scope that we have. Because we understand things can change. So the real intent of this 3rd year check meeting is really to verify project scopes. We want to make sure that the scope that we developed originally is still valid. We also want to give them the opportunity to incorporate some of the local perspective into the final project design. At this meetings, we also have the opportunity to add elements. You know, we understand the cities might have some ongoing projects that can actually be incorporated into our projects, and give them the opportunity to add those elements to actually just do not have multiple projects happening at the same time, and really don't disturb the community as often. So we give an opportunity to do our projects through our local funding agreements. And we also give the cities the opportunity to modify the scope as long as we keep the budget in mind. And we would actually, we're going to talk to you about next is 2 projects where we actually had this 3rd check meetings, and we've been able to actually modify this project to incorporate some of the local perspective while being respectful of the budget that we have. So with that, I'll turn it over to Alex Strada. He is with FDOT, who's going to talk to the PM for these 2 projects. We'll talk to you a little bit more about these 2 projects and the details that we have. Alex.
Thank you, Ricardo. So I'm going to talk about 2 projects that I'm currently managing from FDOT's perspective. So as Ricardo mentioned, there was a study done in University Drive, and out of that study, several projects were programmed. And the 2 of them that I'm going to talk about is one in Plantation, which is the -9, basically going from State Road 84 to just north of Broward Boulevard, and one in City of Miramar, which goes from Rivera Boulevard to Pembroke Road. So basically the scope of the projects is very similar. However, they have some unique challenges and differences. So the main objective of the project was to provide buffered bicycle lanes throughout the corridor, milling surfacing to basically the milling was based on reconfiguring of the lane, so that way we can have a nice smooth surface after we're done widening for the bike lanes. Upgrading any ADA ramps, any issues with sidewalks, any gaps, we're gonna fill those in. Enhancing, also another part was enhancing bus shelters or new bus shelters if they were not provided. As well as upgrading some pedestrian come downs if they weren't already upgraded. And as far as widening, if we're gonna impact lighting, drainage, we're gonna upgrade it to the current standards, all that. And 2 things that Ricardo highlighted was working with local agencies. So this is just an example of City of Plantation. Before we advertised the project, we met with the mayor, we met with the city staff and kind of discussed our scope. And one of the things that they wanted to see was a wider sidewalk on the west side, which in the actual study, it was only proposed to have a 6-foot sidewalk. However, we were able to incorporate a 10-foot sidewalk with our project, as well as they were concerned about lighting that sidewalk. So we were able to include a kind of innovative dual arm light poles, which with one arm going towards the roadway, the other one going towards the sidewalk. And that's due to the separation of the sidewalk from the roadway. Here we have just some typical elements that we're including, buffered bike lanes, the bus shelters, and the dual arm lighting system. So that was a plantation one. Next one was a Miramar, and a similar scope, except one of the unique features on the Miramar project was a pedestrian bridge. Here, I'm showing the picture in orange on the east side. You can see that's a proposed location of a pedestrian bridge over South Broward District Drainage District Canal. So we're working with the South Broward Drainage District as well as the City of Miramar on on the agreements required to build this. We also, as you can see on the east side, we're providing a 10-foot sidewalk where we can. It's not possible to put it due to the right-of-way constraints. We're not able to include it in all the corridor, but on most of the projects where we can, we are including a 10-foot sidewalk. And we try to meander it, avoid any impacts to the trees, and just to minimize the impact on the overall of the project. And this is just an example of what the pedestrian bridge could be. We're currently still developing a bridge development report, which is going to tell us basically what type of bridge we're going to build. So we're still haven't determined the type of bridge, but we're on the way of working on that. And that's an example of a Miramar bus shelter and the buffer bike lanes as well. So what's the schedule? We're currently in design right now. So we just had our initial plans for the Miramar portion submitted. I think the comments are already wrapping up. And one for plantation, we're on a similar schedule. We're about to submit the initial plans for review. And we're anticipating to complete 100% design about this time next year, September 2021. And we're going to open bid, lead the project in January of 2022, and anticipating start construction in summer of 22. That's our current schedule. And this is just our contacts. Ricardo, do you have anything else to add?
Hi, this is Amanda. I want to jump in real quick. We're going to do the 2 Mentimeter questions before we take other questions from the participants. So if you could allow Stephanie to share her screen so she can pull up those 2 Mentimeter questions that were provided to us.
Perfect. Thank you, Amanda. So yes, we do have 2 questions, and it's about, well, right now, what is happening right now during these COVID circumstances, more people walking and biking on our streets. So the question is, what do you think needs to be done to encourage our communities to engage in active transportation now and after the pandemic? So after hearing Alex and Ricardo presentation, about the University Drive study, we are trying to address some of those needs. But what else should we do? What should be the approach? Thank you for answering. So we have the 33%. Well, yeah, it's a little bit of a match here between the first and the second option. Provide connected multimodal networks and provide safe access to everyday destinations. Now, right now it's a car-centric approach. So you have to, drive everywhere. And we need more options, right? Perfect. 13% thinks that we need to stop addressing vehicular capacity only. Oh, yeah. Oh, 16%. Yeah, we have to work together, right? Because, we have in CSAC the right people to make decisions and to plan for a better Broward.
Stephanie,
Yes?
let me make just a quick comment here. I'm really surprised that separation was not number one, but actually pleasantly surprised, because I think those access to every destinations are very important, and of course the connectivity. Very interesting.
Yes. Well, I think right now we are all working to complete a network. So we have existing facilities, but we do need more facilities in order to have a network where people can be connected and can bike and walk more. Perfect. So let's go to the next question. Thank you everyone for participating. And next question is, despite significant effort, South Florida still ranks as one of the most dangerous places to walk in the country. Do you know where we rank nationwide? So let's see. So it's between the 3rd and the 7th. Do you think so, Ricardo?
Sorry. All right.
Okay.
Looks good. Are we done? Are we closing out the responses, or are we still taking?
Okay, so most of the participants think that we're in the 3rd place. What do you think, Ricardo?
Well, the correct answer, we're actually 14th as per the Dangers by Design report by Smart North America, the 2019 version. We're actually doing better than they did before, but we're still in the top 20 overall in the country. I don't know why it's 1.7, but congratulations to the ones that actually picked the 14.
But now the question is that real congratulations? I think we need to do some work here, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do. Yeah, and that's important because we are making some big investments, not only MPO, FDOT, and some of the local partners in complete streets, and we've seen actually we were number 3 at one point, we were 7th, and now 14. So we're making some improvements here. But we need to continue this momentum and continue doing what we're doing. So hopefully next time this report comes out, we will be completely out. So thank you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Does anyone have any questions for Alex or Ricardo before we pull into our final presentation of the afternoon?
I have a question. Roger, can you hear me?
Who's speaking, please?
Roger.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. Roger Lalaine?
Roger Lalaine, that's correct, yes.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Very good. Alex and Ricardo, thank you for the presentation about the University Drive. It's a very good presentation. But the question that I'm asking is very simple. This is a corridor study. Why it did not extend all the way to Locks Road? Why the missing link between Sawgrass and Locks Road?
Well, I don't even know if actual University Drive connects to Locks Road. I think it ends before. But regardless,
yes, it does connect to it. I go there all the time.
Yeah, and one of the things is funding. You really have to prioritize your higher priority corridors. And if we had unlimited funding, we would have done the whole quarter. However, based on limited funding, we had to select a higher priority course established by the project advisory committee based on that criteria. So these are the ones that have actually moved forward. There is another set of, I think, 10 projects that were not programmed, but we're going to look to see if we can program those as well. But in general, I mean, this project is just one of many. I mean, 12 total projects in an entire quarter. I think the southern portion from the county line to Sterling Road will actually be completely completed. It will be just one continuous bicycle multimodal facility. So we'll have that. So we are creating those connections of networks. Roger, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of having unlimited funds, so we need to prioritize our investment.
Understood. Thank you. Well understood. Another question is this in here. Some segments at University Drive, I believe it's 45 miles per hour. So you still can have a bicycle lane within that speed limit, but however, have you considered separated bicycle lane in the areas where we have heavily traffic? Because this is a major thoroughfare, north-south, So have you considered separated bike lane wherever it's feasible during the study?
Definitely, I'll chime in first and I'll let Alex respond on FDOT's behalf. But, one of the things that we, the MPO, is kind of pushing for is those separated facilities, those physical barriers, those vertical separations. It's a little difficult sometimes to do that. Definitely, we have to be respectful of the facility owner because they have their own standards. Definitely, in this quarter like this, the new projects that we have coming up, we are pushing for those physical separations. However, these two projects, we kind of like these projects for two reasons. One is you are providing the buffer bike lanes, so we do have 7-foot buffer bike lanes on the road. However, because there are some people that still like that, they still want to be on the road, they still want to have that, they want the free flow traffic, so they want we're providing that for them. But also have the 10-use path on the west side, which basically that's where the destinations really are. And that provides an area for people who are not that comfortable being on the road. So I think it's a good compromise that we have with the Florida Department of Transportation. And by the way, that 10-use multi-use path or wide sidewalk, as we have to call it, it does provide direct access to the New River Greenway. So that was a pretty I think it's an excellent idea from the city plantation. It's a 10-foot sidewalk that provides access to a big asset, which is the Greenway. Alex, I don't know if you want to say anything on behalf of the Florida Department of Transportation.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think you answered it. I was not involved in the study, so and it was completed in 2015. DOT had different standards back then. So, but now with the new FDM, we've updated a lot of our criteria for bike lanes, and we added that separated facilities in our standards. So in the future projects, you're going to be seeing more of that incorporated into the projects. With this one, we had to kind of work with what we had, and I think it was a good compromise between, like Ricardo said, we had a 10-foot sidewalk instead of a 6. So that's going to kind of provide that separation between, people that are not comfortable being on the street, and we also provide a 7-foot, buffered bike lanes on street, and whoever decides not to use it will be able to use a 10-foot sidewalk on the west side.
Very good. The 10-foot sidewalk on the west side, it's continuous throughout the corridor?
It's due to limitation right away, Roger. We can't have a fully continuous 10-foot sidewalk. There's certain sections that we had to, narrow it down to 7 or maybe 6 at the minimum at certain points. But majority of the project, yes, it is.
Very good. Thank you so much, Alex. That's because I'm a bicyclist myself, so I like to bike in the area, but because at the operating speed sometimes it's in the 50 miles per hour. So that's why I was, I'm happy that you're providing, the 10-foot sidewalk on the west side. My last question. there is a proposed pedestrian bridge by Miramar Boulevard. Do you recall what is the clearance being provided for that bridge?
7 foot. Yeah, it just goes over the canal, so it only has a 7 foot clearance, and we're we're coordinating with the drainage district on their, it's going to go through a permit, and the city of Miramar is going to maintain it. So we're going through coordination efforts with the drainage district of what the requirements are, and so far it's been they want to have a 7 foot clearance between the water table elevations to the lower member of the bridge.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm so happy you clarified that. So it's not going to span over
No.
University Drive, it's only over the canal on the
Yes.
east side only.
So there's a bus stop that is on the canal side, right? So the idea is to have a bridge, and you have a community on the other side. In order for them to access the community, they have to go, either north or south, a very long walk, for them to access that. And with this bridge, we're gonna able to have them get off of the bus stop, cross the bridge, it crosses the canal and into their community. So that's kind of the access that it's improving. It's not meant to cross University. Yeah.
Okay, because there exists one by Miramar Parkway on
Yes,
University.
that's it. Yeah, we're not touching that one. That one's staying. Yeah.
Exactly. It connects the neighborhood with the Walgreens, and people use it extensively. And I
Mm-hmm.
use it sometimes, I find it's way safer, to be crossing, 6 lane, with turn lanes, that's about like almost 8 lane, more than 100 foot.
Yes.
So, okay, but we do what we can. But that's very good. Thank you, Alex.
All right. Thanks, Roger.
Thank you, Alex and Ricardo. And if there are no other questions, we're going to go ahead and have our final presentation of the afternoon. It's our very own Hannah Bourgeois and Kyra Everett from our Public Involvement Outreach Office to talk about their pivot during COVID-19. 1 second to allow Hannah to share her screen with us.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'm pulling up the presentation right now. Are you able to see the screen?
Sam, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hannah Bourgeois. I'm the Public Outreach Officer here at the Broward MPO. My core responsibilities are managing the social media channels, the website, and working with the rest of the PIO team to create outward-facing materials in plain speak. I will let my teammate Kyra introduce herself.
Hello everyone, my name is Kyra Everett. I am the communications coordinator here at the MPO, and Hannah and I work side by side.
Awesome. So we're going to be kicking off this presentation with a Mentimeter question. So if, Stephanie, are you running Mentimeter? Can you pull that up? Perfect. So the first question is, how aware are you of what the MPO PIO team does and our core responsibilities? Okay, we're getting some pretty good feedback. Okay, we are going to move forward with the presentation, and during the presentation we'll get more into the throes of what exactly it is we do and how it relates to the Complete Streets Initiative. Okay. So what is it that we do as a PIO team, and why is it important? Our goal is to use PlanSpeak to inform, involve, and include Broward about projects from the planning and study stages to design and construction to completion via our social media channels, our website, outreach events, and various other communications. So unfortunately, since COVID has prevented us from being out in the field, we've had to shift our outreach strategy to a more virtual setting. So that's what the basis of this presentation will be about, and the shift and how effective it's been from going in person and face-to-face to a more virtual and social media heavy outreach strategy. We work really closely with the planners in our agency and as well as with our partners to fully understand some of the projects and the programs, initiatives, core products, all that good stuff, in order to create the outward-facing messaging to gauge the public's interest in these projects and to spread more information on the things that they're interested in, and how it relates to them, and to make it personable. So the two documents that heavily influence the content creation for our social media and outreach strategy are our Public Participation Plan, or PPP, and our Title VI program. So on the screen, there's two different QR codes next to screenshots of the two different plans. If you open up the camera app on your phone and scan the QR code, it'll actually bring you to that plan where you can explore it and see what exactly it is and how it relates to our outreach strategy. So all public participation plans are required by law for the MPOs. And so as a result, we've identified 4 key elements in order to maximize our outreach strategy. So the 4 elements are informing the public, involving the public, including the public, and improving the public participation process. So in front of you, there is a word cloud with all different cities within Broward, and there's a couple international cities. So the way that we're breaking this down is a 31-22-6 kind of diagram. There's 31 different municipalities within Broward, and within the last fiscal year, so from July 1st of 2019 to June 30th of 2020, we had the opportunity to reach out to 22 of the 31 municipalities within Broward. And then of those 22 cities that we reached out to, 6 of them actually included different Complete Streets outreach events. So many of you guys actually had the opportunity to attend some of the events. So for instance, we had the Let's Go Walking to School Day event in Miramar last year, which we actually debuted our first tactical urbanism project, which was a huge hit. The kids loved it. We actually got some good press coverage, so that was a really successful event. And then the Let's Go Biking event in Tamarack this past March, and then Safe Streets Summit that was held on Fort Lauderdale Beach earlier this year. So what we try to do with all of these events is inform the public and really have the conversation with them to help them understand what it is we do and why it relates to them, and essentially why it matters for them. A couple samples of content that we would push out regularly through social media before the pandemic happened, where the first one is our deliverables. So our deliverables serve to inform the public about different opportunities that are coming up in our communities, whether it's different projects, different events, different things that we'll be doing in their community, and then spreading different stories that our partners have been sending out. So for instance, we've sent stuff out on Tri-Rail and this changing schedules and stuff like that. So some of the deliverables that we highlight on our social media platforms are our weekly e-blast, which I'm happy to add you to if you're not a part of it already. Feel free to reach out to Kyra or I after this presentation, and we'll have you signed up so then on Thursday you will receive the e-blast. Another one is Making Waves. It is our monthly outreach calendar. Unfortunately, we haven't had our latest edition for a couple months now because of COVID. So, but that was something that we would use to capture all the in-person events that we were doing throughout the month, to give a recap back to the public and let them know what they missed and what's coming down the pipeline. Another way that we were able to involve and include the public were through conversations with the community that would spark through our social media platforms. So one of the most influential campaigns that we've been running in order to spark that conversation is Talk Back Tuesday. So for those of you who follow us on our social media platforms, we pose a question every Tuesday. So for instance, the screen capture that you see here says, what's your most unique transit experience? So it's really cool to see because different residents of Broward will, and even within Palm Beach and Miami-Dade who travel in and out of Broward, they have a conversation about their experiences, you know, and different transit opportunities that they've used. Another way that we were really involving and improving like the public participation process was through our community and outreach events. So some of our keystone events that we hold every year is, for instance, Let's Go Walking, Let's Go Biking, Safe Street Summit, which is the regional summit on complete streets. Those have always gained like a lot of traction, and people are really interested in it because it's something kind of physical that they can attend, and it's their way of talking to us one-on-one and in person about, you know, things that are going on and what they can expect to see in their communities. So to adjust to the times, now that COVID has, you know, affected everybody and it's prevented us from being out in person as much as we used to be, we've made this shift from in-person to virtual public outreach and social media engagement. So back in June, we actually kickstarted the Speak Up Broward online series, with the first one being about micromobility and first and last mile connections. So this was awesome. We reached over 400 participants via Facebook Live and the Zoom webinar link. And some of the panelists included Downtown Fort Lauderdale DDA, Broward B-Cycle, the Broward MPO talking about the mobility hubs that are coming downtown, Sun Trolley, and South Florida Commuter Services, and they all touched on different aspects of the first last mile connections and the importance of it to connect people who live, work, and play in Broward to get to the places that they need to go and not have to rely on having a personal vehicle. The second series, or the second webinar in this series, was about climate change and resiliency, which was also a really cool opportunity to touch on the A1A washout that happened after Hurricane Sandy in 2012. That was a huge effort with not only the MPO, but all of the partners that worked to create a 1 mile complete street on the A1A corridor. I don't know if many of you, I'm sure, have visited it, and it's awesome. They have the street lighting, they have the crossings for pedestrians, they have the bike lanes. It's an awesome project, and it's kind of finding the positive in tragedy that we wouldn't have had this opportunity to create such a great facility had there not been the washout. So with the QR codes that are on the screen, the color-coded ones, the first one is actually a link to the Facebook Live event. You can view the recording of the first online event, and then the green one is for the second online event. And you can kind of get up to date with the cool things that we were able to talk about in relation to complete streets. So one of the other things that we've really been able to promote is the Prospect Road microsite launch. So we built this in order to inform and improve on the aspects of the PPP. And we were able to launch this in May 2020 in lieu of the in-person groundbreaking event that was unfortunately canceled. So we did a big push on social media, and it was actually sent to not only our Broward MPO board, but we've brought it to the CSAC, we brought it to some of our other committees, and our partners as well have been working with us to push it out through their social media platforms and bring it to some of their directors. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback on it, and if you guys haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you visiting our website. And on our homepage, there's a screen capture of this here. Let me share it real quick. Can you see the project page, or is it still in the presentation?
Still in the presentation.
Okay. So this is the Prospect Road Complete Streets page. I'm not going to walk through it real in depth. I'll just do a quick overview. But we put it together again in lieu of the in-person event that we would have held. So there's a map of the boundary lines and some of the facilities that are on the Prospect Road corridor. And then throughout the page, as you scroll, there's different topics and stats and numbers in regards to what you can expect to see on it, and some studies that have been done on the corridor and the reasons why we're putting in the new facilities. So again, if you haven't gone through it, it's really informative. There's a lot of pictures, it's easy to read, And it's a great way to understand some of what we do at the agency. Next up, since we've been quarantining back in starting March 16th, we've been utilizing a couple different online platforms in lieu of seeing each other face to face. We've been able to still communicate virtually and involve and include the public again in our outreach efforts. So some of the different programs that we've been able to utilize are Zoom for internal and external meetings, including the Speak Up Broward Online series. Teams for internal meetings and chatting. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Microsoft Teams, but it's a great resource to have within your organization. WeTransfer is another one. We've used that to transfer large documents. So sometimes when we're sending over presentations for different, oh, I just realized I'm not on the right screen. So we've used WeTransfer to share large documents, so presentations for different things that we'll be presenting on, other documents, any plans such as the MTP. It's hard to send through an email, so WeTransfer is a free resources that we have in order to send out the important documents. And then on the social media side, we've really heavily used Facebook Live and YouTube Live in order to still have that kind of one-on-one feel and engage the public through seeing, for instance, the webinar series. And then one of the most interactive tools that we use that you guys have had the opportunity to experiment with today is Mentimeter. So that's a great way also to engage the public and bring back some feedback and, you know, really cater our conversations around the questions and information that we receive from the polling. So some content that we've been working with post-COVID are a couple different campaigns. So the first one that we kickstarted a couple of months back is the Take a Walk campaign, where it's these short little graphics that have fun facts about the importance of staying active and incorporating movement into your day. Another one are the project updates. So for instance, we've done the Prospect Road, we've highlighted different mobility hubs, and for instance, here we have the Shady Bakes community project that's going on. And then another initiative that was recently started by the one and only Kyra is Hub Day. So I will let her speak on that for a couple of minutes and the good stuff that's coming down the pipeline there.
Okay, so Hub Day is actually one of our new social media campaigns that we just kicked off about maybe 2 weeks or so. If you follow us on any of our social media platforms, you may have seen it. The Hub Day content, it just really highlights mobility hubs and take a dive into what they are, why they're important, and how the Broward MPO is working with our local partners to bring them here within the region and how they can be beneficial to everyone that's here. Also, to highlight the fact that we actually have mobility hubs here that are up and running, that people might not necessarily know that it is a mobility hub. So there's been a big push so far on our Instagram channels, our Twitter, as well as our Facebook. And we actually have some really great things planned for LinkedIn. So if you don't follow our Speak Up Broward page on LinkedIn, highly suggest it. You know, some great articles that are in the works that are coming really soon. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So again, we've been using these different campaigns to inform and involve the public and really start some of the conversations among the residents here and those who live, work, and play to gauge how they feel about some of these projects and if they even know about them and the importance that it's going to bring to their community. So over the past couple months, we've been tracking our following to see how effective our messaging has been. So it's time for our Mentimeter question number 2 before we jump into the analytics side of things. So which platform do you think receives the most engagement? Likes, shares, tweets, reposts, comments, that's all considered different engagement. So I will let Stephanie pull it up. So funny enough, even though Facebook seems to really like resonate with you guys well, we found that Twitter actually reaches the larger audience and results in higher engagement. So since we've been on quarantine, we've actually increased our social media presence by over 16%, which is huge considering it's only been over the past 5 or 6 months. So one of the ways that we've been able to really achieve this is by using plain speak to engage the public about bike ped projects, from plans and studies through the completion and the implementation of the projects. We are able to use all of these platforms as a means to drive home our complete streets efforts and really be better partners, and utilizing these different social media channels to promote some of the work that our partners are doing. And as we share and comment and repost their content, they do the same for us. So not only are we reaching out to our audience, but we have the opportunity to reach out to our partners' audience as well. Thank you. So onto our social media effectiveness. We've strategically scheduled our posts depending on what is received by the public the best. And so it's really interesting. The program that we've been using to schedule and push out some of our social media posts is called Sprout Social. And through this platform, it actually sends out optimized send times per platform depending on the day. So for instance, sending out a tweet on a Monday might be best if we send it at 12:34 in the afternoon. Whereas if we're sending out a post on Facebook on a Monday, it might be better at 10:20 in the evening. It's really cool because it allows us to cater the post to when when the public is going to be receptive to it and when they're actually checking those channels. So on top of the different scheduling times, we found that different content resonates best with different audiences depending on the social media channel. So for instance, event promotion has done really well on Twitter, and it's also more likely to be picked up by partners the more we share it, depending on the different social media channels. So on Twitter, one of the most engaged posts was actually the Speak Up Broward Online First Last Mile Connection event that we held back in June, with a total of 108 engagements, which is really high for just one post. And then on Facebook, informational material and project updates do really well as relevant articles on complete streets. So especially now during quarantine, something that's picked up a lot of traction on Facebook are articles that we've posted, whether it's about bike lanes or trails in the South Florida region to get people out while also social distancing. On Instagram, the easy to digest graphics do really well. For instance, the Take a Walk campaign and the Hub Day campaigns that we've been running. And then on LinkedIn, presentations and conference highlights do really well. Since it's more of a professional platform, they want to see what we're presenting on, the innovative ideas that we're bringing to the transportation community, and seeing like what is it that our staff is interested in, what is it that we have a passion for, and what is it that we want the public to know about. In addition to working on our social media outreach, we've also done a really big overhaul of the website. So since we've been on quarantine, we've been working on the website to make it more user-friendly, add in ADA accessibility plugin, and to make sure all that the information on our webpage is current and up to date. Because a lot of our social media posts have a click-through call to action back to the website. So if it's something about our mobility hub, so we'll link it back to one of the web pages for the specific mobility hub. So we want to make sure that all of the content, both in our social media posts and on our website, say the same thing so that there's not any confusion among the public. And then in the bottom right-hand corner here, there's a snapshot of the new plugin that we've installed into our website. So it's an accessibility plugin if you haven't had the opportunity to play with that yet. Again, it's a really cool resource that we now have, and it has the option to toggle on different profiles. So for instance, if you have limited sight or are blind or hard of hearing or deaf, or if you have certain cognitive disabilities, there's different options to make the website more readable and viewable depending like on your needs. So it's a really good resource that we've recently been able to add on. So to increase visibility, again, we want to remain good partners. So we use all the platforms as a means to drive home our complete streets efforts. And in order to be better partners, we tag. And so for instance, with the Safe Streets Summit that's coming up next year, as you've seen on some of our social media channels, we've been tagging not only Miami-Dade, but Palm Beach, TPO, and TPA. So that not only does it reach our audience, but it also reaches the audiences that are following Miami-Dade and Palm Beach. As a result, it's boosting the visibility to, instead of say 200 people, it could be 600 or 700 or 800 people. So it's really cool and to see that. And the more that we tag and include our partners within our posts, they do the same for us. So on the screen, there's a screenshot of one of the posts that the MPO retweeted on behalf of Student Trolley. And then another post on Twitter that was actually reposted by the city of Hollywood and one of the residents of Broward. So the more people, again, that retweet and share our information, the more engaged other people are going to be and the more visibility the MPO is going to receive for the projects and initiatives that we've been working on. It's best to utilize the partnerships with agencies and municipalities in your area. Again, it helps just overall with the understanding and like implementation and public perception on projects, because the more people know, the more receptive they are to learning more about it. Another great way to remain good partners is, just slide into their DM, like let them know, like, hey, I just posted this. If you haven't seen it, like it'd be great if you could repost or send it out to your mailing list or throughout your social media platforms or something like that. When we've done it in-house, like probably 50 or 60% of the time, we actually have our partners retweet it or repost or reshare or whatever it might be. So it really is another great resource. And when we ask them to help us, they know that the door's open for us to help them better. And again, as a government agency, sometimes it's not so glamorous what we do, but we want to have fun. I mean, when it comes down to it, we want to make the post relatable to people. We want them to know that it's not just, this is what we're doing, you don't have a say. We want to spark the conversation. We really want people to get involved and understand how it impacts them for the better and, how it's going to benefit the community as a whole. So overall, utilizing our social media over the past couple months has been a really effective way to take our message about the agency outside of the walls of our houses and apartments and bring them to the meetings in the community where they are, but on their time. So by utilizing social media, it's not something that the public needs to be at one specific time and take time away from their job or from their families. It's something that they can do on their own time, but still be involved in the public participation process. So recently, we actually just reached over.
Amanda?
Yeah.
This is Amanda. I apologize. We are just about out of time. Is there a way that you can just wrap this up really briefly so that we might have 5 minutes to do member updates real quick?
Yeah, of course. This was actually the last slide before the contact page.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're just about done. So yeah, we've been able to reach over 12,000 followers. And so again, that just helps raise the awareness, especially since we're not able to be out in the field right now. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Kyra. We are more than happy to assist you with any questions that you have or helping you best utilize the tools that you have in-house to make a more effective public outreach strategy. So thank you for letting us present and speak with you all today.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions for Hannah or Kyra? If so, please raise your hand. Okay.
Hi, I don't have a question, but this is Obed here from District 4. I wanted to address the issue that came up earlier in regards to the sidewalk. I actually pulled the multimodal checklist for that project, and The only thing that was mentioned on there was improved sidewalks. So that wasn't a lot of information that the design PM could actually go on. And also, it also mentioned about, you know, improving the bike lane, but that would require that we would have to move the curb and gutter and all the drainage, and that would be a very expensive task. So maybe that's the reason why it wasn't incorporated. Thanks.
Thank you. And since we're at the close of our meeting, if anybody has any member updates that they would like to share, anything exciting that's happening in your community, you can either speak, unmute yourself and speak, or you can raise your hand and we can call on you that way. Thank you.
I guess comments or from our partners. Again, there's past 4 o'clock. We just gotta wrap this up.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
There's some office.
Anthony? Okay, let's just, Amanda?
Yeah, I don't think anybody has any questions.
I don't think so. Let's just move on, please, so we can past 4 o'clock.
Okay. Just so, thank you all for being here today. The next meeting for the Complete Streets Advisory Committee meeting will be on November 9th. Again, it'll be at 2 o'clock. That is the second Monday of the month. The following meetings will be in 2020, January 11th, March 8th, May 10th, July 12th. That is subject to cancellation for the summer break. September 13th and November 8th. And if anybody has any final questions, now's the opportunity to ask them. Please remember to visit the Complete Streets webpage at www.browardmpo.org/projects-studies/complete-streets. And if you have any questions or comments, contact Ricardo Gutierrez at 954-876-0044.
One quick question or comment.
Can you please introduce yourself once more?
Yes, Roger Lalane, Broward County.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the question is that, or a comment, you know, it was fine, you know, once you log onto the website, we are able to, you know, listen to all the presentation and see the slides. Everything works fine, fantastic. You know, kudos, very good job. But, you know, it could happen that some of us loses internet connection during the presentation. Would you be able to provide at least an alternate phone number that people can dial in from their phone if that happened? At least they may not be able to be on the website, but they can listen to the presentations. What do you think? Is this doable or not?
Yeah, there is a phone number that is provided to you in the invitation for this meeting. So there is a link to the Zoom to register for the Zoom meeting and then also to participate, as well as a telephone number, a toll-free number for you to call in.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Ricardo, do you have any last words?
No, just I want to thank everybody for participating, and I hope you guys enjoyed the meeting. You guys see you November 9th.
And the meeting information, the presentations, the meeting notes will be available within about 10 days to 2 weeks and will be distributed accordingly. Thanks again. This is Amanda Kristen, and I'll see you in 2 months.
Thank you, Amanda. Have a good night.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.